Good Saturday morning, everyone. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. In today's weather forecast, we're going to be tracking the heavy rain and heavy snow across the West Coast, bringing historic flooding potentially to California. And we'll also be looking ahead to the long range weather forecast, which includes winter returning towards the middle and end of January. If you guys are not subscribed to the YouTube channel, each and every one of you guys this morning, press the subscribe button down below and the notification bell to get all of my daily weather forecast updates. We're just over 12,000 subscribers, and the new goal is 25,000 here. So hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to get all of my daily weather forecast updates on this channel. Looking back here across the north central Pacific, we have a parade of low pressure systems and bomb cyclones type of systems across the eastern Pacific Ocean. And what bomb cyclones are is a low pressure system that develops and actually lowers in pressure 24 millibars in just 24 hours or less. And that's what we have seen across portions of the West Coast over the past 24 hours. And there is more where that came from here across the north central United States. We have 3 low pressure systems waiting back in the wings across the north central Pacific, just waiting to crash into the West Coast into next week. And looking at the past 72 hours, it has been a very drenching of rainfall across portions of California. We've seen widespread 3 to 7 inches worth of rain across especially northern and central California, and even some heavier rainfall amounts getting closer to the Los Angeles region as well, picking up near an inch to 2 inches down closer to that area over the past 72 hours. Looking ahead here, we do have those flood watches across most of northern and central California, as well as those winter storm warnings, especially into those higher elevations there in the Sierra Nevada mountains, where we are expecting to get dumped on with several feet of snow in the coming days. And looking here to this afternoon, we're going to see those higher elevation snows start to pick up across portions of Washington State, Oregon, and Northern California. But where it is warm enough to rain in Seattle, Portland, Oregon, and getting down here toward the Sacramento Valley, we're going to be seeing the rainfall move in this afternoon across portions of those areas, bringing some heavier rainfall at times. That will continue into Sunday. More of the mountain snow, however, will be more of the dominant precipitation type with the system on Sunday, with a little bit more of the cold air to work with up here across Oregon, Idaho, getting down into northern Nevada, and especially the Sierra Nevada mountains on Sunday here tomorrow. And looking at the precipitation types or precipitation amounts going into that time frame here, we are looking at some heavy rainfall across northern and central California. We're going to be seeing that liquid precipitation with rainfall of around 1 to 3 inches across northern California, which does include the Sacramento Valley, and then getting up the west coast of Oregon and Washington State toward the Seattle region, we could be averaging around 2 inches of rain. And that's why we do have those flash flood potential across north central California here, with a slight and even moderate risk for flash flooding here, a pretty rare moderate risk across northern California going through the day today and into early on Sunday. And then going through the day on Sunday into Monday morning on January 8th and 9th, we're going to be talking about, again, that marginal to slight risk for flash flooding across northern and central California. Also looking at the snowfall front of this here, we also have the very heavy snow in those upper elevations here through Washington State, Oregon, Idaho, back into northern Nevada, and especially the Sierra Nevada mountains here. We're going to be talking about feet of snow going into the next 24 to 36 hours going into early next week on Monday morning. We could be dumping around 1 foot to 2 feet of snow across the Sierra Nevada mountains during that time frame, and that is going to be causing major to extreme impacts here. So if you are traveling around the mountain range here in the Sierra Nevadas, definitely going to be very treacherous with that slick travel, with all that heavy snowfall out there, and even that rainfall as well, which could be pretty heavy across western and northwestern California as well. If you guys are still with me on the video, definitely press the like button down below. That's that thumbs up button. It helps to get all of this weather information out to more and more people, and I definitely appreciate that. But going into early next week, we got what we call a bomb cyclone here. Again, that's the low pressure system that bottoms out 24 millibars or more over 24 hours or less. So definitely here, a very strong low pressure system and trough will be digging into the western United States going into early next week on Monday, January 9th, and going into Tuesday, January 10th. And it's going to be bringing up a big slug of moisture across portions of the Sacramento Valley here into central California, and even in towards portions of Nevada as well, going into Monday afternoon. And that really continues through the day on Tuesday, at least through Tuesday morning with a very strong and powerful 990 millibar low pressure center getting closer toward the western coast of California going into that Tuesday morning, January 10th timeframe. So let's look at the precipitation and walk you through the hourly forecast here during that time frame early next week. Starting here on Monday, January 9th at 6 a.m., we got the very heavy snow breaking out across northeastern and even portions of eastern California. That's the Sierra Nevada mountain range there, but also in the heavier rainfall amounts as well will be across the west coast of California, getting up here into southwestern Oregon. Again, that's at 6 a.m. on Monday, going through the entirety of the afternoon on Monday and into Monday evening at 6 o'clock in the evening. Very heavy rains. You can start to see these yellows, oranges, and reds showing up across north central California here, and especially near the coast. Those are those rainfall amounts here that could be adding up very quickly with those 1, 2, 3 inch per hour rainfall rates and very heavy snow mixing in here into the higher elevations along the Sierra Nevada mountain range as well. That'll be sneaking its way up into southern Oregon and northern portions of Nevada during that Monday evening time frame. And then going into Tuesday morning, 6 a.m., again, continuing to see very heavy rain and very heavy snow across portions of California and getting into the Pacific Northwest during that time frame. So just looking at that 24-hour time frame from Monday morning through Tuesday morning, so Monday, January 9th through Tuesday morning here at January 10th, we're going to be seeing significant rain and snow across this region, starting with the rainfall amounts here in the purples and in the orange and reds. That's where we could be seeing 2 to 5 inches or more of rainfall across northern and especially central California here, including the Sacramento Valley, but also the snowfall. We're going to be seeing some very heavy snow added on. We have that 1 to 2 feet on the way this weekend, and we're going to be adding another 1 to 2 or even 3 feet of snow across the higher elevations of California there in the Sierra Nevada mountains, and even the higher elevations there into Idaho, Oregon, Washington State, and northern portions of Nevada. We're going to be adding another couple of feet of snow into those ski resorts up in those areas, getting in towards the early portion of next week. And looking at the closer view of this, you can definitely see here going through from now to the middle of the day on Tuesday, on January 10th, we could be talking about 36 to even 48 inches of snow or more across the mountains here of the Sierra Nevada. So definitely lots of treacherous travel across those areas. But it is good news. We have the drought ongoing here. The newest drought monitor coming out from the U.S. Drought Mitigation Center on January 3rd here of 2023 does still show that severe and extreme drought here in the oranges and reds across portions of the Sacramento Valley and California, and even into portions of Oregon and Nevada as well. But it has actually come down. We actually have eliminated that exceptional drought area that we did have across the Sacramento Valley in California here with the update from this drought, the drought monitor. But looking ahead to the U.S. monthly drought outlook here, going all the way through the month of January, it does look like we're going to start to improve that drought in a big way, not only for California, but also for Oregon, Nevada, and Utah as well, including the Salt Lake City area, getting down here into Las Vegas, portions of Sacramento, and then eventually they're back towards portions of southern Idaho as well as we get through the month here of January. But as that system moves eastward here, it's not just going to stop in California. We're going to see a very disturbed weather pattern here with that trough digging down into the Four Corners region, and you can see that on the vorticity signature. Lots of energy moving into Utah and to Arizona here toward the Phoenix area on Wednesday, January 11th during the middle of next week, and that will be crossing across portions of the southern and central plains. Lots of energy moving out here into Kansas, into Oklahoma, and northwest Texas going into that Thursday, January 12th timeframe. And then finally getting into late in the week, and by next weekend, we're going to have a spiraling low pressure system here somewhere across the mid-Atlantic or the Ohio Valley on Saturday, January 14th, getting in toward the middle of the month. And that will be providing us with a lot of cold air on the backside of this system as we get toward late in the week on Friday the 13th and going into Saturday the 14th timeframe. We're going to be wrapping in all these blues and these white shaded colors on the backside of the system. That's going to be pulling down temperatures in the 20s and 30s out there, and that will be just enough to have it snow as we get towards next weekend. So tracking this starting on Thursday, January 12th, you can see all that rain starting to billow up here across Kansas, getting up toward the Kansas City area, getting back here towards portions of eastern Oklahoma, the Arklatex region into the I-35 corridor down here into Texas. Not much snow with this initially, but as we go into Friday, we could have that deformation snow band start to set up across portions of Wisconsin, eastern Iowa, northwestern and western western Illinois, and this could be providing us with maybe 1 inch per hour snow rates potentially. And then again, on the warm side of this, we could have a potential of maybe some severe weather and also some heavy rain across portions of the southeast getting into Friday, January 13th. Continuing into the next weekend on Saturday, January 14th, we have a 988 millibar low somewhere across the mid-Atlantic or the Ohio Valley. We got that cold front on the eastern side of the system bringing that line of showers and storms, which could be severe with the heavy rainfall there. And then that deformation snow band on the back side of the system with some tight isobars could be promising more snow across places like Detroit, getting down here through Columbus, Ohio, and perhaps into Kentucky as well. And then moving up the East Coast as we head into Sunday, January 15th to get into the middle of the month with maybe some of the snow across interior New England and maybe some lake effect snow as well for places like Buffalo, New York, Watertown, and then getting down the spine of the Appalachians with some of that snowfall out there. Mainly rain across the I-95 corridor. It does appear to be that way from Boston down through portions of Connecticut, New York City into New Jersey as well, getting into that Sunday, January 15th timeframe. Looking at the liquid precipitation, those rainfall amounts out there during that time frame, some pretty significant rain is expected across the eastern 2/3 of the country. We could be averaging around 1 to 3 inches, especially across places like Tennessee, the Carolinas, getting back down here through Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and then getting up here into portions of the I-95 corridor, a nice soaking rain of 1 to 3 inches there as well. But looking at the snowfall amounts, it's going to be farther north here. Again, that cold air is not going to really move far south where we're going to see the heavier snow across Texas or anything like that. So we're going to be seeing the snow farther to the north across Wisconsin, Iowa, portions of Minnesota here towards the Detroit area here into Michigan. And then the spine of the Appalachians will be lighting up with some snow as well in interior New England. So upstate New York, northern Vermont, northern New Hampshire, and portions of Maine will see some snow. And we could see a few inches being laid down here across those areas getting in toward the middle of the month. But again, all rainfall here for the I-95 corridor as it looks right now. But there is some wiggle room for some wobbling of the system, so we'll be tracking that in the days to come. But what is for sure is as we get into the third week now in January, going through January 20th, it does likely remain above average, especially across the eastern 2/3 of the country and more specifically across the Great Lakes and the Northeast, while we're slightly below average with all those systems across Southern California and the Pacific Southwest, and again, well above average precipitation across the West Coast and getting into the Intermountain West through January 20th, and some active weather as well across the Ohio Valley, the Midwest, and the Northeast during this period. So we'll watch out for some snow and some rain and a mix of rain and snow during that time frame. But as we get to the late week here, the late month time frame here, the last week in January from January 20th through the 27th time frame and really through the end of January, I do think we're going to see more of these troughs dig down farther south towards the Pacific Southwest into the Four Corners region. And they're going to be sneaking in underneath some of this blocking that's going to be setting up across portions of the northeastern Pacific Ocean and also up here toward Greenland as well. And we're going to be seeing more of these troughs swinging eastward towards the eastern 2/3 of the country. And that will come in conjunction with very cold air starting to move southward from southern Canada and the Pacific Northwest here, starting initially on Saturday, January 21st, and then seeing a big surge of cold air with that freezing line going far south towards Texas, the Arctic and the Gulf Coast states by the time we get toward the late week time frame here and the last week of January. So that will be something to watch. And looking at these temperatures here, again, this is just a general idea. This is not specifically what the temperatures will be during this time frame. Again, these are several days out, but you definitely see the trend that it's going to be warmer initially down to the south and colder up to the north, especially into southern Canada, the Pacific Northwest, and the northern plains as well during that time frame here on the 20th to the 22nd time frame. And then by the time we get toward the 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th, 31st time frame of January, toward the very last week in January there, we're going to see that freezing line pushing farther south towards portions of Tennessee, the Arctic here, and perhaps Texas as well, the Gulf Coast states, and that will promise some more snowfall if we get some precipitation across the northern and northeastern United States. And it does actually look pretty active across the eastern 2/3 of the country during this time frame here. You can see the greens really showing up across the Arctic, the Ohio Valley, places like Tennessee, the Mid-Atlantic, and the Northeast during this period. from January 20th through January 27th. And again, that active subtropical jet will be there during that time frame and actually moving farther south as it does so as we get towards the first couple of days there in February as well. And that is going to promise more snowfall and actually farther south with that snow line as we get towards the end of January and into early February. And this is my current thoughts on the snowstorm potential during that period. Again, this could change, but I do have a couple of scenarios that could play out here from January 20th through the very end of the month here on January 31st. We do have maybe a swath of some snow here across portions of the Midwest, getting into the Ohio Valley, places like maybe the Dakotas, getting into Nebraska, Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, parts of Illinois, and then getting over here toward the Ohio Valley. And then a secondary area, if we have some nor'easters start to come into play with that active subtropical jet toward the end of the month here, we could have a second area of very heavy snow and snowstorm potential from Maine down through portions of interior New England, including upstate New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and then getting down the spine of the Appalachians into the eastern Ohio Valley as well, where it looks like mainly rain still for the I-95 corridor here from eastern Massachusetts down through Rhode Island, Connecticut, New Jersey, and New York City specifically, and then getting down towards places like Virginia and Maryland during that time frame, with all rain probably during that time frame. So thank you guys so much for watching. I definitely appreciate it. Remember to like the video down below, give it a thumbs up, leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. I'll get to those later on today. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're new, and hit the notification bell to get all of my daily weather forecast updates on this channel. Have a great weekend, everybody, and I will see you all in the next video.